Team. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, how are we? We are back with the podcast, and I'm super duper freaking pumped to be coming in here this morning. This podcast is going to be I think, a short but simple one, and I want to explain a concept that I certainly try to live my life by. And I think you guys are going to get a bunch of value out of this. So if you're coming into this episode live, we're going to be starting this one in just 2 minutes, and we're going to rip straight in. Why? Because it's Friday and it's fun day to all of the crew in the UK, Canada, US. We're a day behind, but that doesn't matter. What's going on, guys? Good morning. If you're coming into this one live, get into the comments. Let me know that you're here. And if we are indeed watching this on replay, please hashtag replay in the comments. This episode, this topic, I think, is important enough to want to share it across as many platforms as I can. So I'm going a little bit more public with this one, which we are getting started in just 1 minute. All right, so let's go from the top. Hello, Toddy. Lovely to have in your company. I think you're on 100% record, aren't you, Toddy? Good morning, Bondi. How are you, mate? I can see you loud and clear in here, legend. Good morning, Sean. I hope you're having a beautiful start to the day. Tez is in here, the ever consistent Nikki friend. Hello, Loz. You've been in here for pretty much every session as well. Welcome to the party, Loz. Kenny, what's going on? Always here with the partner. Morning, Jace. I can't say who that is, but you know what? Good times. Claire's in here as well. Our newest member of Better Body Academy with her partner, Maddie. Hello, Claire. How are you? Guys, we're getting started in 30 seconds. Hello, Lisa. I hope you found a soup recipe out of the book that I popped up there yesterday. Hello, Pam. Lovely to have your company. And Christine is in here as well. Guys, if you come into this one late, please hashtag replay so that we know that you've been in here. Let's get started on today's rise. The topic I want to talk about this afternoon, my time, is the idea of finding freedom. Okay? On a Friday, what better topic could we possibly talk about than finding freedom? When you think about a big topic like this, maybe there's connotations that come up for you. Maybe there's some things that you think about in terms of, like, what would freedom look like for me? And you might be like, why is this like dude who's a dietitian and a PT talking about this stuff for? That's out of his zone of genius. And I don't think it is. And the reason is because I think there is a direct link between your physical capacity and then, of course, your life, the amount of happiness you have. So today, I want to explain a topic, or maybe a way of thinking. I really do think analogies or visualizations really help with this type of stuff. I think that if we can relate our fitness transformation to something a bit bigger in our life, it'll have more punch, it'll have more likelihood of sticking. Let's face it, why so many of us give up on our fitness transformation journey, would you agree with this, guys? Let me know in the comments. I think that if the primary reason we're doing this is fat loss, well, then you know what? I can tolerate it for another 6 months. I can tolerate it for another 6 years. Unless you're like hugely overweight, where you've just been diagnosed with diabetes, you've just had a stroke, or something is really critical, which interestingly is often enough for people to shift. Unless you're at that zone, often just like getting healthy or getting fit isn't the biggest priority in your life, right? And that's almost totally understandable, because the reality is, if you're a busy mum or a busy dad, likely you've got your kids, you've got your employees or your bosses, you've got your finances, you've got all these responsibilities that are pulling for your attention. And it is really, really easy to push the ones that don't seem as urgent to the side. But I want to give you a way of thinking, perhaps, that lets you think, maybe this isn't just about fat loss. Maybe this isn't just about getting a little bit stronger. Maybe there is more to be gained on the upside that I'm actually consciously recognizing. And if we can make a connection between our body and what we get in our life, I think we stand to gain on a big scale. So behind me is an idea which I put together because it makes sense to me, called the ladder to liberation. I haven't gone this deep on this before, so let's go deep on it. First, I want to talk on this side, okay? I want to talk about what does it mean to have freedom, all right? I asked myself the question this morning, and remember, I don't think any of these ideas are facts, okay? These ideas are my opinions, and I'd love your opinion in the comments. So I envisage happiness as almost like this kind of mountain, and at the top of it is freedom. I'm just trying to give you a visual to think about this, okay? So we've got this mountain of happiness. Now, if I was to ask you, what things make up happiness? What are the things that come into your mind personally? Remember, this is subjective, okay? But what are the things that come into your mind personally? If I did this exercise with myself this morning and I asked, what does a happy person possess? So you can answer this question in your mind. These are the things that I come up with, okay? Number one is time with loved ones. Okay, so Sammy says love in the comments, so feel free to pop yours down in the bottom. For me, it's time with loved ones, and it's all right to have loved ones, but if you don't get any time to be able to spend with your loved ones because you're too busy jumping from task to task, well then it's almost the antithesis of happiness, because you don't get to spend time with your loved ones because you're too busy doing other things. So for me, the time component is really important. Number two for me is a sense of purpose. Like, why am I getting up in the morning? You know when you feel like it's a Monday, that feeling of Monday-itis, and you just can't wait for the week to be over? Is it possible that that in itself is like really dangerous way of thinking or living? Is that indicative of feeling like maybe that I just don't have a real sense of purpose? I'm not living intentionally. For me, like, the week flies. It absolutely flies. And I get to a Friday, I'm like, where the fuck did the week go? And I feel that perhaps that is because I have a real sense of purpose and I'm trying to cram as much into every day as I possibly can. Remember, what I'm asking here, guys, is subjective, but I'm asking what things build up the artillery of a happy person, what things contribute to it. So number three is life energy. You know that feeling of like, it's not energy as in like, I'm talking really quick, I'm really active. It's that, like, I envisage it almost like a halo, like a glow around someone. You know when you know someone is happy and they feel like they're radiating that energy out? That's what I mean by life energy. Like, let me know in the comments, guys. Do any of you know someone like that? When I say that thing that just comes to mind, this person has life energy. That's what I'm talking about. I think happy people have life energy that just, when you're in their company, you can feel it. It almost rubs off on you and you want it more. Okay, next is forward movement or growth. I really do believe that if we are staying in one spot, we just kind of, we're not evolving ourselves, and almost by default what happens is it feels like the world's leaving us behind. So for me, forward movement is very important. I don't have to be necessarily getting better in all areas, but I need to be getting better in an area to feel like I'm growing. Next, balance in work or rest, okay? So what can happen here is that, and I know this personally firsthand, is people might look at your life from the outside and think, oh my God, like he or she has got everything, but you're so busy doing everything inside of your life to upkeep the life that you've got that actually you never get time to enjoy your life. And I will certainly put up my hand and say, at times, I have borderlined or redlined on that point and felt like my cup was overflowing. It was boiling like a boiling pot, and I didn't actually get to enjoy the life that I've actually created. Let's just finish this off. Finally, a circle of love. it kind of goes a little bit off this life energy thing. So what I mean here is like I just feel love in my life. However that shows up, I feel love in my life. I personally feel love in my life when I see my clients progressing and improving their life, when I see them pop things up on social media that they're proud of. And of course, I'm not saying it's about social media, it's the fact that I get to see it, okay? It's like that energy that I can see when I see my client, Steve Byron, just like growing as a dad, and I look at that and just think, man, and he sends me a message and says how freaking happy he is and how he's now trying to make up for lost time. For me, this is big. And then the final thing I want to say is, for me, the freedom equation includes novel experiences. So being able to do things that are maybe outside of the realm of what you'd consider normal everyday thing. For me, I spend most of my money on travel and experiences, and this for me is really, really important. It brings together a picture of happiness for me. So this is the mountain that I personally feel that I'm trying to climb. Okay, now your list might be something completely different, okay? Guys, stick with me, all right? Your list and what constitute freedom for you might be something completely different. But I believe the path to attainment is going to be fairly similar for most people. And that's where we're going to get over to this side of the board, okay? So this is kind of whatever your mountain of freedom looks like. I think there's almost a ladder to getting there, okay? And so the ladder is about accumulating the skills and the mindset to be able to have that type of a happiness or a life. So I call it the ladder to liberation, because a lot of us want this, but we feel that we're just nowhere near that. And it almost feels overwhelming, right? And it feels that it's maybe 2 decades off. And because it's 2 decades off and I'm 40 years old, it's like, fuck, I'm gonna be 60 by the time I get any of this stuff. So I think there's a way of thinking which is more about the doing component that helps. So I want to work backwards. What is it that would give you these things? Okay, what is it would give you these things? And this is the key point here. For me, if you want time with loved ones, then you've got to actually have relationships, right? Otherwise, you've got no time with loved ones. Even if you've got all the time, you've got no loved ones. So you need to have relationships. What is it that creates time for people? Maybe there's a presence of mind thing, but I also think having maybe enough money, for example, where you're not needing to be constantly working 14 hours a day to make ends meet. And so can you see how at the top level, let's go to another one down here. Let's go to maybe a sense of purpose or life energy. If we were to want those things, but in your day-to-day, you feel like you're just trying to cover your backside in terms of your rent or your repayments or your credit card or whatever it is, that makes it really hard to get excited about this freedom when all you're trying to do is play catch up. Are you guys with me? Can you let me know in the comments? There's 22 people watching on live. Are you still with me? Does this make sense? So at the top level, you've got to have you got to have a life to work backwards from, something that you're looking to attain in order to give you this freedom. And so we continue working backwards down this ladder. And so what's the next step down? For me is mind. So what separates you from this rung of the ladder to this rung of the ladder? What separates you from having better relationships, more money, a better business? What actually separates you from doing that or having those things? If you could, let's just make it about money if you want. What separates you from having more money or a more successful business, which leads to more money? I think there's 2 things. There's the skill set and the mindset. So if I look at my business, Better Body Academy, what separates me from having right now 300 clients to 3,000 clients is my skill set to scale and my mindset to think bigger than I have now. So how do I develop a better mindset to be able to be capable of these things on this level? Well, it comes back here. I've got to improve my confidence. I've got to improve my belief, my self-belief. I've got to improve the level to which I love myself and I think I'm deserved of the highest level of success. I've got to be growing all the time. And this big thing is I've got to have a very well-rooted sense of self and know who I am. Because if I lack all of these things here, how the hell am I going to improve my life? We all want more money. We all want better relationships. But the biggest thing that's getting in our way is the mindset. It's the mindset we possess, the self-sabotage. We don't just self-sabotage because we feel like doing it. We self-sabotage because we're questioning our own deservedness. We have a lack of confidence. We have a lack of self-belief, a lack of self-love. So we self-sabotage to prove that lack to be true. Does this make sense? And so it's a mindset that is stopping us from having real abundance on the life level. So what can we do to improve our mindset? And this is where we're kind of culminating to here. My belief personally is that, and this is subjective again, this idea, but my belief personally is the quickest way to go about improving your mindset is to start with your body. My belief is that your body is a true representation of your habits. And that can be triggering for a lot of people. And I'm not saying that to be rude or negative, but if you live a sloppy existence with your nutrition, as an example, or your exercise as an example, that is going to show up in your body, whether you like it or not. That's not being negative. That's just stating facts. That's the reason why you started in Better Body Academy, because you want to get your body into shape. You want to feel good and energetic. So if you want an improved mindset, to me, the entrance point is to start at the body. And so what happens here is we tend to think so one-dimensionally. We think, oh, I'm going to start a weight loss program. Oh, I'm going to start a muscle building transformation. Oh, I'm going to get strong. Why? Because I want to get strong. Why? Because I want to get strong. Why? And I want more energy. Why? And we just stay on this level of the body, which is why it's hard to justify spending money, which is top level, on bottom level stuff. Like 26 people now watching, guys, please let me know if this makes sense in some fashion. It's hard to equate, if I'm in a business coaching program, I pay money to improve my business, of which I get money back. Does that make sense? I'm happy to pay a business coach because I pay the money to the business coach teaches me skills, and in return of the business coach, I get improved profit back. So the transaction just goes around. The more money that I make, the more money I'm happy to pay out, the more money I make. But the problem is we don't compute that the body actually has anything to do with money. And so what happens is someone says, oh, it's going to cost you $100 a week to get a PT or to be in this program. And you're like, $100 a week? You fucking kidding me? No way. I'm not going to pay that. But we're not computing that that comes from that because of this intermediate. Does this make sense? So to bring this home, team, again, just my opinion, a concept that I personally live by, but I'll give you a simple example. Why am I doing a marathon? or trying to attempt to do a marathon. JD, why are you wanting to do a 10K run? Right? Yes, okay, it's a good thing to run. That's a good thing. That's got some good body benefits. There's the cardiovascular benefits. But I am not running or practicing to run a marathon for the cardiovascular benefits. That's not what I'm doing. Nick, friend, is that what you're doing, brother? Are you doing the marathon training? Maddie, Harvey, all the running that you're doing, are you doing it because I just really want cardiovascular benefit? That might be the entrance point, but here's what happens. When you improve your body, and I don't mean in a purely aesthetic sense, I'm talking when you improve your capacity of your physical. What it does is it improves your capacity of your mindset. I'm not saying it's a fix, a one-for-one fix. I'm not saying that there's not a million people with a great body and a terribly horrible mindset. The reason we're doing it, I'm not saying it's all conclusive, but there is an attachment here whereby if we start to improve our body and it happens over time in our physical capacity, what that does is translates into the confidence. If I can run a marathon, in my eyes, if I can run a marathon when right now I can run 6 or 7 kilometers, if I can push myself to run a marathon, what that does is reinforce that I can do hard things. And if I keep doing hard things on a physical level, over time, I'm going to tell you that the reason that I can stand up in front of you confidently at 6 o'clock in the morning and talk about this stuff without notes apart from what's on the board is because I've done 30 years of hard things in the gym. Even I don't feel like it. I don't feel like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and training. I don't feel like doing cardio. Tomorrow, what is it, Nikki? What's the run training that we're doing tomorrow, this weekend, week 2 of the training, the marathon training? I think it's 8Ks. I don't want to fucking run 8Ks on a Sunday. But I know that if I can get my physical right, this will build a sense of self, growth, confidence, belief, and self-love in my mindset. And if I can get the mindset right, this will translate into a better business because more of you think to yourself, this guy actually practices what he preaches. He just doesn't tell people. You see my relationship with my partner who's also doing the marathon. Like it all comes together. And then what happens is when you start to see life benefits, this is where it flows through to the happiness equation. It helps you to climb this mountain. As you know what, guys, I'm going to actually just open up my phone, which isn't great for the podcast recording, but I want to read you a message that I got off my client, Steve, this morning. And I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, right? So I'm actually doing this, right? I'm reading this out. As I get healthier and more capable physically and emotionally, I get better. Now I'm starting to fear dying before I reach my full potential. I don't want to leave anything in the tank. I've wasted 20 years on the sideline. He's talking about being overweight. I'm cashing all my chips in and going all in on myself. I'll turn up to a gunfight with a knife and still back myself now. And some people may see that as arrogant, but it's quite the opposite. It's actually self-belief and determination. And I received that message this morning. and that's why I feel like I'm ascending here, is because that's the chat I'm having. And if you don't have that chat in your life, and instead the only chat that you have is the negative shit that drags you down, that's why you feel crap, because you're just not surrounded with the right people. So guys, that's it. I'm going to leave it there with risk of overcooking this. It's just an idea to consider, and it may not be fact, and it may not be cause and effect, but I think if you distance yourself from perhaps where you are at any one point in time and just ask yourself, would I like to feel a little bit more of these things? Yes, I would. Okay, well, what's got to happen in my life in order to make that possible? probably need to have some more money, probably need to have some more career progression, probably need some depth in my relationships. Okay, how do I get that? And you'll end up working yourself down to the quickest entry point, where is get yourself in good physical shape so you have the capacity to be more productive, work longer hours, or work more efficiency, or whatever it is for you. And so it goes. Guys, hopefully this has been helpful. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful start to the weekend, because weekends start on Friday. Chat soon.